everyone, it's Alyssa here at the Washington Township Library with our craft for adults for the month of July. We are going full summer today, and I made this great beach art. So I saw a really cute image on Pinterest of, it was either a pair or a trio of these beach canvases with all different kinds of shell and sea glass embellishments on them, and I love the fact that it used a long skinny canvas. It's such a nice and interesting shape, and it's different from anything that we've done before. So I wanted to see if we could come up with our own version of this. And so this is really simple. What you got in your kit was you got these cute little sea glass beads, you got a few different colors of paint, a few brushes, foam brushes, and some shells. And so that's pretty much everything you need. Don't forget to protect your working surface with some newspaper. You'll need a bowl of water and some paper towels. And then to glue everything together, I used hot glue. You can also use a very strong permanent craft glue. If you like to use the hot glue because it's nice and simple, but you don't have a hot glue gun, we do have hot glue guns now available for checkout. You do need to provide your own glue sticks, but you can easily get that pretty much anywhere, including the dollar store. So we do have hot glue guns for checkout now if you need one. But this is really simple, doesn't take a lot of time, and I love how it came together. You'll see when I went through the process, I was really experimenting with the color. I wasn't sure. I ended up really liking how it dried. I loved my little wave texture here. So I will show you how it's done. You make sure that you paint all the way around so it's nice and dimensional, and your canvas is going to look great hanging up or on display somewhere. Okay, so this is a nice, easy, relaxing one. Perfect to get into summer mode. Ready? Here we go. Okay, to get started, we are going to, I guess I'm going to start with my blue, my ocean. So here are the colors that we have, or at least that I am starting with right now. So I have my blue, I've got this tan for the sand, I've got some brown that I might want to mix with my green for when I do the turtle shapes, and I've got lots of white. I'm going to make a nice light blue, but I want it to be an oceany blue, so I'm actually going to mix a little bit of that green into the blue for that. So let's see where I'm going to do my mixing. Right, so I want a nice light oceany blue. But like I said, I do want that green in there. Okay, so don't do what I'm doing. Don't add white to your dark color. Add your color to your white. You will waste less paint, but I did give you a lot more white than I had. And it's kind of okay if it's a streaky color actually, because the ocean is not all one color, right? So I'm going to start with this. This might be a little dark for me. I might want to lighten it up though. Okay, if you've ever watched a painting video with me, you know that I'm going to play with this color 1,000 more times as it dries. But there we go. See, this is really nice. Okay, I'm gonna start there. So we have this really beautiful canvas. Do not forget to paint the sides with your colors. That's why I love a wrapped canvas like this. And I'm just gonna go ahead and start. Oh yeah, it'll probably need to be lighter. Okay, I'm gonna start. Again, look, I love a streaky look with all of the colors, and then I also want to decide where I'm going to put my sand and where my water is going to end. So I'm gonna probably just go right here for now. Just fill in that background. Right, so this was nice and easy and quick to fill in the color, but also while this is still nice and wet, like I said, if I'm not sure if I think the color is too light, too dark, or what have you, while my colors are still wet, I like to go in with my brush again and add more layers of color because it blends so nicely this way. And you can continue to play around with it for as long as you would like. You can do more green than I did, you can do less green, you can do much lighter, you could do much darker, much bluer, whatever you would like. Okay, with my thin brush, I'm going to go into the white, some of this white that's got a little bit of the blue-green on it. I'm going to make some hints of waves. I'm just going to roll my brush across the canvas, really easy peasy. And it'll blend in nicely. Just these nice little wave lines. And the closer you get to the shoreline, the more you can follow the shape of the shore that you've made, and you can make them brighter and whiter as you get down here, because maybe there are some waves crashing on the shore. And then what you could do also is you can take your brush and you can flick it backwards so your waves blend in with the ocean a little bit. And again, as these dry, you may want to add more layers. You may want to make it brighter. You may want it to blend in more. It's totally up to you. You can also make this as minimalist as you want. It doesn't need to have any detail at all. That is up to you. So what I'm going to do next is take my tan color and my white, same thing. I'm going to do this the proper way this time. I'm going to add the color to the white instead of wasting all of my white trying to mix that in the wrong way. Always add your color to your white, not a little bit of white to a lot of color. It just doesn't go as far. Okay. And of course you have the little cups. You can actually put everything onto a paper plate and use that as your palette. Okay, so I've got a nice light sandy color here. I'm going to make my shore and cover up the blue that I accidentally got on here because it's all over my hands. You can see I'm trying not to go too close to the edge right now because I'm working quickly and this paint is not quite dry. I would want this to be completely dry so I can get closer without smudging my blue into my sand. Okay, I'm going to let this dry a little bit in the places where it needs to dry before I do more of my sand. So what you can do, again, you can leave this totally smooth like this, or you can dab. Once you've gotten your coverage and it's opaque as you want, you can dab for some texture. You can add a little bit of the darker tan in with your lighter, kind of like we were doing with the blue when we were getting some texture with the colors. And do like that. So there's some variation. Or again, you can go as simple as you want it to be and just have your colors. Plain sand, plain ocean. And then that way maybe it makes your turtles more of a focal point. That's totally up to you. Okay, I'm going to let everything dry a little bit before I determine what I want to do with my colors. Okay, so I made this a little bit lighter too, and then I went back and I did my second coat of the sand. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add some, I don't know if I want to. think I'm going to add some texture here with the very, very light blue. So it kind of looks a little bit like the water breaking on the shore, but not a lot. Okay, let's see how that works. So I use my sponge and I just kind of dab at it, see if it looks kind of like wavy. Okay. Oh yeah, look at that. That looks good. I'm going to carry that all the way out. And my tan is completely dry up here at this point, so I can do this and not risk it mixing and the colors getting muddy together. So you make it more dense and then you reduce the density of these little waves breaking as you go. And it kind of plays with the texture of the brush strokes that I made that I then blended in. And then you can go ahead and grab some more of the really, really light color, some white, to put right on top. Right, because closer to the shore is where most of the waves are breaking. So you're going to have all that white foam. There we go, that looks good. And again, it does dry darker. There's also a lot of water in my sponge, so some of that's evaporating, so just play with it. But I love the way that looks. Don't forget to add some on the sides. So I'm going to, again, let this dry 100% before we move on to our turtles. So in the meantime, I'm going to clean my little brush because I'll use that for the turtles. Again, I want this to be completely dry because the next step we're actually going to glue our little bodies on here. So everything needs to be 100% dry before we can glue and paint our little turtles. Okay, everything is nice and dry and I'm super satisfied with the color now. And I have a hot glue gun heating up. You can use, as I always say, a very, very strong craft glue. You know, something that's a permanent glue. I like the hot glue gun. I have my little beads. Everyone's got a variety of beads, little green, blue, iridescent, as well as I try to give everyone some shells so there's lots of texture and it becomes three-dimensional. Something that you can do, we have done this in the past when we did some in-person crafts way back when, is when your paint is wet, you can also sprinkle some sand on here. You could also, when it's completely dry, just do a very, very thin coat of glue and put some sand on there if you want that texture. For me, the only three-dimension that I want is from the beads and some shells, but that is up to you if you would like to add some sand to make it a little more dimensional. And in the meantime, I've got my green and blue I'm going to use for my turtles, but I don't want it to be green, so I'm going to just, like I said before, I'm going to put just a hint of the brown in there, just a little bit, so I can get more of an earthy kind of color, desaturate it a little bit. There we go, that's a nice kind of turtley green, and it will be a good contrast. I might want to add a little bit of white though now to brighten it up. Okay, let's see, because again, everything dries darker, right? So just a drop of white. That's a good color. All right, I think that will be good. One of my tips for working with fine details is to get the tip of your brush, even though we're working with acrylics and not watercolors, is just a little bit wet because you will be able to make some nicer lines. So right now this is a little too wet, but it's just got a little more flow to it. And always keep your brush loaded with paint, because then your lines will be a little finer and a little more precise. See, look at that. As opposed to, you know, if there's not a lot of paint and it's kind of dry, your brush is a little splayed and it's not precise. See the difference there? Okay. So I'm gonna think, where do I want to place my little turtles going into the ocean? Maybe I'll put the bluer ones kind of in the ocean so it looks like they're under the water even though they're popping out. It's fine. I'm gonna put mine on a little pattern here. And I'm just going to practice my little turtle shape. So what am I gonna do? I'm gonna do a little head that's almost like it's almost like a diamond, right? And fill that in. And then the little fins, the little leggies. So it's almost like a boomerang, but not quite. And it's kind of like a fin shape, but not quite. And then the legs are almost like a seed kind of a shape. Anyway, it doesn't need to be perfect, and you can mess with it, but there we go. All right, so I'm going to, this seems like it is ready. I'm going to glue them on where I want them. Very exciting. And then I'm gonna make my turtles first, and then I will decide where I want to add any shells. I'm probably gonna put them along the shoreline, maybe in the corner. All right, so again, I'm just getting my brush a little bit wet. I'm swirling off most of the water. And then I'm going to dip and swirl. And let's give it a try. They're sort of abstract turtles, you know? They're just kind of abstract. They're not perfect, but they're pretty cool. Now I'm going to grab some shells and add them. And that's going to be it. And there it is. There's my full little turtle beach art, perfect for the summer. And it's really cute and really simple. So enjoy. I hope you have fun. Don't forget to send me pictures if you would like to show me how yours came out. You know, I love to see how your projects all come together. And that's it for this time.